slipping and sliding off the highway. 50 cars crash as I-25 turns into an ice rink.
Reduced visibility and slick roads and a fair number of cars. And that can be a recipe for accidents.
Tonight's CDOT warning about your morning commute as the snow keeps falling.
It's a weather action day as snow continues to fall across the Front Range. I'm tracking the tail end of this storm as we prepare for an icy morning commute.
Plus, living out of the only suitcases they have left.
It was not the welcome to Denver we were hoping for.
The crime trend leaving a family new to Colorado with next to nothing, and how you can make a difference.
On this weather action day, it looks like an I-25 snowpocalypse. 50 cars hit the ice too hard, crashes all over the highway. And this weather does not bode well for your morning commute. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jacqueline Allen.
And I'm Brian Wang. That's just the beginning of roadway collisions tonight. We have breaking news of another major highway shutdown. Take a look at this video on 225 at Mississippi in Aurora. Police say 15 cars crashed in the northbound lanes in the last hour. 5 people taken to the hospital with minor injuries.
Denver 7 Sloan Dickey's there right now. And Sloan, you talked to CDOT about this mess that we've been hearing about. Same story all day long.
Yeah, and they're also saying you need to be really careful on the roads as you head out through the evening and into tomorrow. That crash on 225 is actually being cleaned up right now behind me. I'm just going to let my photographer pan over to the scene. We did see some snowplows come through just minutes ago, so they might be opening these roads again. That does not diminish the caution that people need to take. As you mentioned, 15 cars were impacted in this crash. 5 people were sent to the hospital for minor injuries. Fortunately, there were no fatalities. It was a similar picture, as you mentioned earlier today. 50 cars on 225, sorry, I apologize, on I-25 northbound, closed lanes for more than an hour past University Boulevard. Fortunately, only minor injuries were reported there as well, and the interstate is reported to be opened once again. However, the snow continues this evening along with those frigid temperatures. I spoke with Tim Hoover with the Colorado Department of Transportation about what they are doing to keep the roads safe for commuters overnight.
What will still be slick conditions, and so we're going to be out there plowing the roads and potentially treating them if there's a way we can put de-icer on them, and just trying to do things that will improve traction.
And he is not kidding about those slick roads. They're also asking drivers to do their part. That includes staying off the roads if you don't need to be on the roads. We saw several spun out cars, so also you're going to need to check your tires. And also you're going to need to check your speed if you're on the interstate because they're very slick right now. So just be sure to play it cautious if you're driving through the evening into tomorrow morning. Live in Aurora, Sloan Dickey, Denver 7.
All right, thanks, Sloan. Again, Denver Fire says a few people were injured, but they are expected to be okay.
And meteorologist Stacey Donaldson joining us now on this weather action day. Stacey, those roads are a mess, and tomorrow morning, not much better.
Not much, no. It's been snowing all day. Our high today only 22 degrees, so we've stayed below freezing all day and all night tonight. Our temperatures right now in the teens for the most part, but it feels like it's 8 degrees outside. We have cloudy skies, still a little bit of snow falling in places mostly to the west and the south. This is the tail end of this storm as it's moving out. We still have a little light snow down to our south and west up through northeastern Colorado. Things are looking a little quieter here, and a little leftover snow down through southern Colorado as well. We have some light snow in the high country also. As for the rest of tonight, we have a winter weather advisory in effect until 5 a.m. tomorrow morning for our northern and central mountains. Could see a couple more inches there. Otherwise, flurries overnight here, kind of off and on in Denver. 14 will be our overnight low. And as you head out tomorrow morning, flurries are a possibility early on, but it's going to be an icy commute. Those temperatures still in the teens up through about 8 a.m. We'll hit 20 degrees by 9 a.m. and we'll be seeing that sunshine tomorrow. And then we have another storm headed our way. The latest on our next snowstorm on the 7-day forecast coming up.
Well, all right. Thanks, Stacey. It wasn't the warm Colorado welcome they were hoping for. A family who just moved to our state had their trailer and most of their belongings stolen in broad daylight in Denver this weekend.
So we wanted to get the Denver 7 Gives community on this case and show this family the true spirit of the state. Rob Harris has their story tonight.
Where'd you put the other garbage can?
Playtime with mom and dad is a good way to wake up from any nap.
What are you doing?
But for Jackson Adjemi and his parents, Seth and Joanne, it's given them a chance this weekend to have a little bit of normalcy. They expected to be living out of suitcases as they moved hundreds of miles to Denver, but they did not expect to have only these suitcases after getting here.
Certainly was not the welcome to Denver we were hoping for.
The Adjemis just got into town Monday, with their entire lives in Montana packed into this 24-foot trailer, along with thousands of dollars of aviation mechanic tools for Seth to use in his new job at DIA. The trailer sat locked and chained outside his brother's house all week, until Saturday morning.
Drove down the street to get to the highway and the trailer was gone at that point. I know we were hoping at some point to buy a house here, and so now that money is going to have to go to either get me new tools so I can do my job, or
Appliances to cook in the kitchen.
a lot of the important stuff to us was that stuff that means a lot to us, stuff from our wedding, stuff from when he was born.
It's just like the stuff like Jackson is like our only son, and so it's all his first things there that I grieve the most that we have lost. Sorry. I think our first original reaction was, hey, thank God that we're okay.
The Adjemis now are looking for a place of their own in Colorado and figuring out how to replace all of the things inside it. They're working with Denver police, and they're asking people in the community to keep an eye out for a trailer like this with Connecticut license plates. To the person or people who took the trailer, they have this to say.
We forgive you, honestly. We were Christians, and you know, that all that stuff, those are God's stuff.
If hearing the Adjemi story made you feel moved to show them just how welcoming and generous most Coloradans are, you can head to our website, thedenverchannel.com, click on Denver 7 Gives, and then find their cause in the drop-down menu. Every dollar of your donation will go directly towards them. Plus, we have other causes to help out people in our community who could use the help. In the newsroom, Rob Harris, Denver 7.
All right, thank you, Robin. We've told you before, trailer thefts are skyrocketing, and there are ways to protect your property or at least make it a little harder for the thieves. Denver police suggest painting or marking your trailer to set it apart, using multiple locks, hitch locks, wheel locks, or clamps. Police also say to invest in an alarm with sensors.
As the fighting in Ukraine intensifies, there's a plea for more aid and more supplies. U.S. officials say there are credible reports of deliberate attacks on civilians by Russia. The UN says more than 300 civilians, including children, have been killed. For the second straight day, Russia reportedly breaking a ceasefire in Mariupol. The aim was to give people a chance to leave. 1 million people entering Poland in the last 11 days. Meantime, U.S. officials confirmed the White House is in talks with Poland on the possibility of backfilling their fighter jets so that Poland can give their own Russian-made jets to Ukraine. Several lawmakers from both sides of the aisle have publicly said they would support a ban on Russian oil imports to the U.S. Ukraine and Russia will hold a third round of talks about ending hostilities Monday, according to negotiators.
More than 500,000 Ukrainian children slept in a bed that was not their own overnight after their families fled their home country and they left much of their lives behind. Well, now Realty One Group is hoping to make things just a little easier for those displaced kids by launching a toy drive at their 400+ locations across the country, including right here in Colorado. Their hope is that any Ukrainian child who wants a toy will have one.
When you've got a country in need, I think we all have to rally together and see what we can do to help. And so it's kind of the American way, right?
If you want to take part, fill a shoebox with toys, drop it off at any of their Realty One Group locations. This drive runs through this Tuesday before they ship the boxes to Nevada and on to a partner in Poland who will then distribute them. When you think of being green, you may think of energy or transportation, but here in Colorado, construction plays a role too. Cement makes up an estimated 7% of global carbon emissions, and Colorado is about to get a lot of concrete. We're up for more than $5 billion from the infrastructure bill to build highways, bridges, and public transportation. So one concrete producer in Denver is bringing on a company called Carbon Cure to help curb emissions. Their product injects captured CO2 into fresh concrete as it's being batched, converting it into a solid faster. And the CO2 increases the strength of the concrete, meaning there is less needed.
The CO2 that we use is from industrial emitters, which means that it would have gone out into the atmosphere anyways. and we're actually reusing that material. So it's almost like a recycled CO2.
This comes after the Buy Clean Colorado bill passed that required construction projects reduce greenhouse gas emissions when they're making common building materials.
Okay, here's a couple of blankets.
In this bitter cold, a lifeline for those with no place to go.
I don't care why they're out here. Doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter to us. We just want to stop the suffering.
The message one group is sending to the city of Denver, one blanket at a time.
Plus, when you're shoveling snow, the overlooked hazard local police want you to see.
And countdown to Crazy Town.
3, 2, 1.
Why our Denver 7 crew is taking a polar plunge in the Arctic cold.